Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us, two dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty, a faculty member at Kent State University, a podcaster, and an avid Apple product fan.
And I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content. Currently, photography of plants, birds, and panoramic sequences.
And a recurring panel member that we have, it almost feels bad to say there are only two of us, because three of us have been here. This is our 30th episode, and Daniel probably have been in 10 of them, maybe?
Something like that.
Something like that, which is great. Daniel Burkholder, who is with us tonight as a third panelist.
You can just say 2.5 avid fans for now. Once and more consistently, we can bump it to 3. Okay.
So Daniel, you bring some wonderful expertise in software engineering.
I'd like to think so.
I'm going to knock you down to a 2.2 if you don't start talking more. We've got a lot to cover tonight with Vision Pro news and share some great apps that are coming up that Eric has kind of dug up some ones. I looked at them before the show and really not, I want to say, really good apps, really good kind of things to play with. So stick with us for that. You can follow the live stream on youtube.com at Vision Profiles on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or catch the video later on YouTube or audio on any podcatcher service. But before we get into the news, I got a Belkin strap, which sounds like some medieval torture device. But Eric was talking about on a previous show that you went into a store and they said what?
Nothing available until December. So I was surprised when right after that you said, "Oh yeah, I've got one."
I just went into the Apple store, my local Apple stores. I went online and checked the inventory at both stores, and they're like, "You can pick it up tomorrow. We've got it." And so I went ahead and bought it. And the Belkin strap is like the dual strap, the part that grows across the top of your head, but it's meant for the solo loop. And I like the solo loop. It's kind of stretchy and meshy, and it's easier to tighten really quickly or loosen really quickly. But there is that pull down that happens where the device can shift forward and down. Or if you push the mesh back and down on lower towards your neck, then the device gets up and rises up high. The band that goes across the top of your head that connects to the point where the battery device actually connects in is just placed right so it sits perfectly and holds the device really nice. The one thing I was concerned about was from looking at the pictures, because all you could do was look at a couple of pictures of it, whether it was sort of like a sliding strap that you slide and open and or slide down and loosen it up, or slide up to tighten it up. It really is very much like a watch strap, one of those nylon watch straps. It's got Velcro on it. And again, that's how it is on the dual strap. And I thought, man, Belkin came really close to it. Felt like I had a watch strap on my head. And I'm like, there must have been some patents or some concerns about that. But it works. And it's a quick release and a quick tighten and quick loosen like you would do with a watch strap on it. So it's pretty cool. I've been using that now since I got it.
So
sounds good. I might have to give that a try.
Review out of 10?
I would say 8 out of 10.
Wow.
That's a big number for a Belkin product.
Well, okay, but for what it does, and I think of it from functionality, probably 8 out of 10. There are some times where it just seems kind of weird. You're trying to figure out how to tighten it down, and if you have hair like I have hair, it gets in there, and it just feels. But that's that's going to happen with any strap. The price, I think, is a little bit of a shock. It's $50 for, we pay $50 for watch bands, so I guess you can't complain. But for the headband, I think the price is just about where anything higher would keep people from getting it, and probably still will keep people from getting it at its price. So
for people who haven't played around with like additional straps and bands and whatever, like how is it changing how it fits on your head and all that for you?
for me, we've had this discussion. I don't like the Anapro one because it just seems like it's solid and it doesn't really quite fit down on my cranium in any way that it acts as a support. And I'm not going to invest in the Anapro 2 to find out if anything's been fixed. And there are other types of straps like this on the market. I haven't gotten into those. It does feel like my head is a little bit more encased with the strap coming across the top. Whereas without it, you've got this front back sort of rocking thing that can happen with the whole device. But with a strap on it, it keeps it nice and solid. And not a lot of weight, not a lot of tension. It just is stabilizing for that purpose. I don't think it removes the weight off of it. It's not like all the weight is now pivoted on that center strap, but it does give you a better sense of stability. So I might loosen the strap a little bit so it's not as tight on my face and the device doesn't feel as heavy because that stabilizing strap that cuts across from ear to ear.
Yeah, would you agree it's like redistributing the weight?
Slightly. I think it's stabilizing it so I don't feel the weight coming down in front as much. The Weeknd. I know Daniel posted that was out. Have y'all seen it?
I love it. Well, it helps I was already like a big Weeknd fan. So, and frankly, kind of waiting for some new music from him too. Some of his recent stuff, always like the older stuff, man. No one likes the new stuff, man. But I was actually really happy with it. But that was a fun experience, I think. It was my favorite immersive video yet. I'm sure maybe some predisposition because of liking The Weeknd, but I thought some of the camera tricks and cinematography they did was really like, oh, that was really cool. Like especially like there's one scene where the whole world is morphing up around, right? And then it transitions into the city and just even that whole trickery, how it drew your eye up into it and then it switched over and then made you look back down. It's like kind of took you out of it and then shot you right back into reality. And just stuff like that was like, whoa, I want more of this. Like I want to see a lot more film like that. That was sick.
Christopher Nolan did a whole movie on that, but
That's a great idea.
Did you see it, Eric?
Yeah, and oddly enough, that motion bit, that was the only part I had problems with.
Yeah, I got a little
just a little pushing it on the kind of too much motion.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I want to look up.
The shot was neat, but my stomach was not happy.
Yeah. I wanted to look up, and then after looking up for him, and I thought, this thing's moving. I need to look back down. I need to be grounded.
I want to see him do a roller coaster video at some point.
No. There are certain things on the meta I can't games I can't play because it's just too much of that. And I did one and was near a bed and just fell down on the bed because I figured I'd be safe at that point. I wanted to see what the reviews were on it. I kind of felt Daniel would be a fan because he's like, this is out. I had never seen or heard, to my knowledge, any music by him before that. So I went in completely blind as an artist. I know people really like him. I listened to that song and it was the same damn lyric, one line over and over and over and over. And I thought I had a hard time appreciating the music. And then it was like a close-up of his face in an ambulance for most of the video, with the exception of some of those exterior shots, and then the shot where he's walking into his concert or he's walking into a concert venue, and all of those little druids like from Star Wars with the glowing eyes were around, surrounding him. I thought that had some interesting spiritual and connotation in that sense with the species, the people with the figures, dark figures with the glowing eyes. But I was underimpressed. I think I like the elephants better.
Mhm.
So I'm running through and looking for things for the show, and I ran into this review of the Weeknd, and it was a TikTok video or something like that. And I got about 30 seconds into the review and realized this woman is really smitten. The Weeknd would love anything he would do, and she even said, "Oh, I'm just thinking about it. I'm getting a little flustered. Oh, it's just." And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting for a musical artist that I can relate to. Now I'm a 67-year-old man that I can connect with, or at least a genre that I can connect with. And I'm thinking this might happen with the one that's coming up, the Concert for One. At least I don't know this artist's work. They talk about jazz, blues influence, and that fits a little bit more of sort of my spectrum of what I want to see and what I want to listen to. So I know people really like it, like the Weeknd, and will really like this video, and it's impressive in lots of ways. It just didn't catch me. So we'll see. There are some articles about future stuff that's coming out, including what I mentioned, the Concert for One. And it looks like that's going to be out November 22nd, this Friday. That's with Ray, the Brit award-winning singer-songwriter Ray, offers a blend of R&B, jazz, and pop to viewers. My sense is it's going to be on stage. I mean, it's going to be almost like the Alicia Keys thing where you're right up with the artist through the concert. So that's going to be pretty cool. I also wonder how long it's going to be. When you say a concert, I think of a concert 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours. I don't see that happening. So, but it'll be interesting to see how long the actual document, or how long the actual immersive video is.
Yeah, most things have been, 10, 15 minutes at the top end.
And then the third episode of Adventure, Ice Dive, will be available in the US in December. So just what you want in December. You want to watch people swimming under the ice. And then wildlife, there are going to be more wildlife out. A new episode of Boundless, Elevated, and Red Bull Big Wave Surfing coming in 2025.
I was just about to comment. We need some like extreme sports. I want to see some like BMX videos. Not even into it, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, well, the fourth episode, I'm looking at this link that we have. The fourth episode of Adventure, Deep Water Solo, is going to be available early next year. Third episode of Wildlife is Sharks, debuts next month, which is not Shark Month from what I can tell, but they're debuting it. They should have done it with Shark Month. And then Elevated will be Maine, which debuts early next year. So that's what we've got coming up beyond the Weeknd. Actually, the Concert for One should be called The Next Weekend because it's being released on the next weekend. Okay. So let's go to news. Apple Vision Pro's weekend viewing currents on Vimeo. Eric, you're heavy into Vimeo. What is this about?
I wish I knew. There's a little preview video that looked really cool, and I kind of saw that. The filmography on the preview is the full version actually out or just the preview?
It's out. I watched it just like half an hour ago or so. I thought it was entertaining, and maybe it is not as much for me. It was a good video. I would have liked to see more from not from a storytelling perspective in it, but and when you watch it, you might think the same. I felt there was a lot of scenes in it where the immersiveness of it was just so plain. Like it was like it was almost like, hey, we just filmed it just on a random day, and we're just like walking in the city on a number of the scenes. There was some others that were like really cool. I feel like I'm right in this nightlife area, and then it gets really abstract and really abstract near the other half of it. Um, but something not about the video and the content itself, but technically speaking, there was something about it, and maybe this is just on the Vimeo app and like 3D video on that, because this was literally the first time I downloaded it and first video I watched on it. Well, one, I was kind of strange. You can't like, at least on that video, I couldn't make like the whole video encompass my whole view, which was kind of strange. But then I felt like there was something strange with what would it be called, Eric? Where it's like the horizon line, like where everything was
Right.
convergent, just felt a little odd to me, and I couldn't put my finger on it. If I didn't think about it, it could like go away, and I wouldn't
Yeah.
essentially see it anymore. But it was a little like odd at times.
When you get that reaction, close one of your eyes and see if, and then try the other one to
Yeah.
see if both streams are in focus. Because what I've been getting is there are some streams where one side is in focus and the other one's not, like it's compressed wrong.
Maybe.
And then there's nothing for your eye to focus on. So it's trying to focus between the two, and it doesn't totally resolve it. It kind of is close. And some of the earlier uploaded videos, Marty and I were doing some experimenting with that, and it wasn't resolving. The stuff I've sent through Final Cut Pro seemed to work better, and I don't know if it's the upload post-processing got fixed or if Final Cut Pro adds more hints. But they definitely do a ton of post-processing, and sometimes it doesn't work.
I was kind of leaning more towards it's how the cameras are set up, and I don't know like which, what cameras they used for that versus like because I noticed something similar too in the Weeknd video where if the subject is about, and this I noticed much more in the Weeknd video, not as much like the horizon line was like strange, but more so I could see how it distorts more where like if they're standing about like person distance in front of me, like they seem normal, but then it starts to drop off exponentially. So like some of the scenes in the Weeknd one where he's like in that like on the bed, I'm like, he is not that skinny. He looks like he's got a skinny little neck and a skinny little head. And I'm like, it's just how it's just how it's distorting him just so much, like not even like 8 feet away. Then it just drops off quick, and I want to pay attention to more of this 3D video to see if that's just a property this or something else. It's probably the former, but
Here, well, there's a little bit on this because I want to know what is the storyline about. And there's apparently a cool director interview blog post on Vimeo that shares more about the process. And it says, as a part of the launch of Vimeo's new app for the Apple Vision Pro, we asked him to create an original short film for us that was shot entirely in spatial format, armed with a single Canon camera with dual fisheye lenses. Jake and his team flew out to Vietnam to create Currents, the story of a young Vietnamese woman named Lynn and her experience traveling to and arriving in Ho Chi Minh City for the first time. So Canon with a dual fisheye lens, and I don't know if that has an impact on it.
And that was
that
recent. They like just finished that lens. They had an old one that evidently doesn't work quite right or it's different. The new one, they spent effort making sure it all worked. But I can certainly believe that the distance to your subject matters a lot in how it looks. Because the distance between the lenses is fixed. So there's going to be a sweet spot in there where it matches up, and it's not like you can split the lenses apart to give it more distance.
Yeah.
And dual fisheye, hearing that kind of screams out that difference I saw to me. Whereas I bet you then on like the Weeknd video and a lot of the other Apple immersive one, they're using that one that looks like little R2D2 smiley face guy with, so there's that visual difference there. And that's probably the first one I've seen shot on the Canon ones.
Well, this is Apple Vision Pro weekend viewing, Currents on Vimeo. And that's, Vimeo's investment in trying to support spatial video and being a place to put spatial video.
So are either one of you having difficulty searching on Vimeo? I don't know if it's just time of day. Like it seems fine earlier in the morning, but I get like errors trying to search. It just doesn't return any results, or it says there's a problem, or so I'm wondering if it's getting overloaded.
I haven't noticed, but
or
I haven't tried.
I'm just having bad. So if you get a chance, do some searching. Trying to figure out how they arrange their stuff is a little weird, but
spent too much. I do a project that like once every couple of months I have to go to Vimeo to upload and get set up on a channel for an association that I work with, but I haven't gone too much into that ecosystem, only to attempt to play with the spatial piece. Next article, an opinion piece from Macworld. Apple Vision Pro needs something bigger than a software update. And this was by Jason Cross, senior editor at Macworld. And he talks about what Vision Pro OS 2 brings to the table. I think the OS 2, and particularly the OS 2.2, is getting a lot of people to turn their necks back towards the Vision Pro. And so he leads with that in terms of it. The Vision Pro brings some good things to the table, especially the OS 2.2, which goes to addressing a lot of the issues that happen. Talks about the little widget that you can do in order to get to the control center. Magic Keyboard and MacBook Keyboard punches through. Complains about not having a clock app.
Actually, I can kind of relate to that. I mean, because if you look at me around the house, I'm doing the hand flicky all the time.
Do I have power and am I late? Yeah.
I can't look up to the right and just look at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I had like a lava clock, which I would open up every time. Lava lamp clock. That was an app. I would open up and I'd put it up on the piano, the real piano in our house. And use that to check time. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of the hand movement just to find out. Now, can I get another show in before I have to go to bed, or is it just too late?
I kept setting down the lava lamp and then forgetting where I put it.
Which is a fire hazard. It's a virtual fire hazard.
Yeah, don't.
Well, it doesn't have like a locator on it, so you can't get it to like ding and say, "Hey, it's over there."
I mean, he makes fair points. And I can't criticize them.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
what exactly is he looking for? I don't think he knows either.
Does anyone know, to be fair? No. I know a number of things I want, but none of them are killer. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are a whole lot of people that wanted an ultra wide display, and we got that. I am a happy camper this week. But I'm sure other people are looking for other things. I just wasn't clear what he was looking for. He wanted some wow factor, some whatever. I mean, a lot of people are looking for more content, and I think the 2.2 version of the VisionOS, that finally means that if you're trying to create content, I think you have a much better shot at it now between that and the different video editing apps for spatial video. So I suspect we'll see a lot more content coming out. Not sure on the quality, but there will be stuff coming out.
Yeah, I mean, he complains about, guess what? It's too expensive. And the hardware just will never be mainstream. It's not going to be a product that everybody can purchase like an iPhone. The headset's too heavy, the field of view is too narrow, the battery and the tether are cumbersome. You can't see the eyes of the person wearing it, and the eyesight feature just doesn't get the job done well. It's fatiguing to use for more than a half hour at a time. This is an opinion piece.
Yeah, I know he didn't have it fit right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not to say that you can't have it fatiguing and have an issue, but fit is a big component. And
I think I think this person, probably a lot of other people, their thoughts would change if like the software stack was everything as it was today, if it just had a different form factor than price. But like, imagine it, not as bulky and cheaper, but it still did everything else. I think you'd see a completely different article out of that.
Yeah, it's, well, We'll see. Opinion piece. It'll be there for folks to look at. Okay, this is a personal favorite of mine. I'm jealous. Channel 4 launches Vision Pro streaming app with Taskmaster environment. Channel 4 is the British channel. They now have their own app. They have a Taskmaster environment. Well, they also air Taskmaster on Channel 4 in Britain. I pick it up on YouTube. So you can go into the setup Taskmaster to watch whatever you want to in Vision Pro. Does Taskmaster escape both of is that something you've not seen yet?
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but it did give me an idea. I want to see BBC come out with one with a Doctor Who, a TARDIS environment. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's basically 5 comedians who are given tasks to do that require some workaround, if they can work around it, or some trick, some creative way of solving the task. And so then the Taskmaster awards points for who did it the best. It's pretty fun. It is a fun show. But we don't have the Channel 4 app. I think it's only in the UK that they've released the app. Just like they don't release Channel 4 directly here. You have to kind of get it through their YouTube channel. So, okay. So that was one for me. But news today just happened this afternoon, early evening. The developer beta for VisionOS 2.2, now beta 3 came out. And the beta 3, it's always hard to find out what's new with these things. And most articles that'll come out and talk about it will talk about elements that are already part of Vision 2.2, beta 2. They came out on beta 1. Like the articles will say, well, beta 3 came out and now there's this wonderful Mac virtual display that can be ultra wide. Well, we had that 2 betas back. So it took some digging to find out some of the issues. And it's not an article. I just put these notes up. But Mac Virtual Display, there are some fixed issues with Mac Virtual Display. You can now watch videos in Firefox without issues when using the Vision Pro speakers. You can also change the aspect ratio of the Mac Virtual Display and are not using the default display resolution. The window will no longer get stuck when that happens. So those issues are fixed. There's a current issue with Siri. It doesn't work on the simulator, which means developers need to test Siri on an actual device or use an older VisionOS SDK as a workaround. Some Swift fixed issues, tabletop. New features include users can now pick up and move items close to their hands naturally. Users can hand off items from one hand to the other without needing to let go of it. So some new features in tabletop and some Unity current issues and workarounds. So a few things. The big one for me, I think, was the changes that they did. They continue to just improve the quality of Mac Virtual Display.
Yeah, that Firefox audio issue is actually bugging me because I'll use Firefox for my personal browser on my work machine. And so I'm like, what is going on here? And I thought it would actually just be something really on the Mac side, like how it was hooking and piping the audio. It seems really strange that was something Vision Pro related. I really thought it would have been on the Mac side of things.
Yeah. There was a mention by Oliver, who's in the chat room, still having FaceTime bugs. Audio will sometimes randomly cut out for about 20 seconds. And it's very annoying. At least that's how he's experiencing FaceTime issues with the Apple Vision Pro. Let's see. I posted some things that I saw on Reddit. I've got to give the Reddit community some cred because I go there and find out about things that I want to chase down for articles. And in this case, there was this really nice post on the guide for demoing the Apple Vision Pro. So, they've made some changes in how you can do the demo, made it a little simpler to do it. But this is good set of text that goes through the kinds of things that you should do to help with demos, like before putting the device in guest mode, mirror your view to another device so you can see once it goes into guest, you can help people through, and using the solo knit band and help them to adjust it to be as comfortable as possible. Guide them through the setup process, show them one or two system environments so they know what the environment is, a unique aspect of the Vision Pro headset. So there are 10 suggestions in here, ending off with show them Apple Immersion video. Things like this author also likes 3D models from Beautiful Things.
Evidently, that was Oliver.
Oh, that was Oliver.
I was going to say, yeah, it was a great post. And the order that you demo in was good too.
Yeah, well, this is apparently Oliver is Mundane Complex -1902. It is. So Oliver Niehaus, who happens to be in our YouTube chat, man, I feel honored. And just dumb luck. It was a really good article. I'll have the link so others can see it through Reddit. It connects to the post on Reddit. So that was one. And then a second article, and I know this is Eric champions for this in a post about a gentleman. I think he says he was Korean, or I am Korean with a rather large head. That comes from the post. But he's talking about the importance of getting the right light seal size and the efforts he had to go, because the app measured him one thing. He went to the store and he got another one. The other one works well. And he has some good suggestions in how to do that. And it is has some good comments on it too in the article. So in the Reddit post. So again, light seal size. And I occasionally think I'm getting right now, if I'm in a dark environment, if I'm looking at something that on my screen that's dark, and I sit in a living room with light and lamps around me, I will get a little bit of a lens flare just about around the bridge of my nose. When the screen goes to a light environment, I don't see it. But when I'm in like a dark screen, like a title shot or something like that, I'll get that little bit of lens flare in the middle. It's not too much. And I thought, well, maybe this is a fit issue. Maybe I should go in and see if they can do something about maybe a different size light seal for me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I measured at a 33W initially. Then I went to the store, did the thing again, still 33W, and I totally guessed. I'm like, let me try what I just double checked, 25W, and that actually I felt was much better. But nowadays, honestly, I'm actually kind of wanting to try the 33W again for some reason. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's now too narrow on my face, which, I mean, it's not like my face has changed. So
yeah, I bought two because I had two different sizings. The first mistake I made was to do my sizing with my glasses on, and then I realized, and I placed the order, and it was like, oh, wait a minute. So I went in and I bought another one, and I might have bought a third because the sizing without the glasses, or no, I killed that order and did the resizing, placed that order. But then I later on picked up my phone and just did the sizing again and got a completely different figure. So I went ahead and purchased both, figuring either I'll take one back or I'll give it to my son and he'll use it or something. So when I went into the store, to pick my device up that day, they measured the sizing again, and they said, yeah, you chose the right one. So I have another one that's a different size. But I'm sometimes I think, maybe I should just go in and get sized again and see what they come up with, because they've got better at doing it, and I've got better at knowing what it should feel like. So, okay. Concert for One, we talked about coming out. And then this is a game that's coming out that is Apple Vision Pro mixed reality hit game, Little Cities Diorama. So it takes, those kind of city build things and puts it into a diorama format. And
Really
that
looking
is,
forward to that one.
you're looking forward to that? I
Yeah.
didn't get into the cityscape stuff, so you need to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't. It's been so long since I've done anything like this, but it looks really cool.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since I played a city sim game. I tried to get into there's like a popular one, City Skylines. I tried to get into that. Just really couldn't, but I'm gonna try this too. This looks awesome, actually.
And is this all the genesis of the tabletop kind of stuff? Because we've seen other games that are on tabletop. You have that flight landing simulation where the actual flights are coming in to the airports and you can switch airports. The one we talked about this afternoon, Omni Cards, is a tabletop card game. And it seems like we're getting a lot of these flat, square, developed playing fields. I'll play it. I'll pick it up and see what I can do with it.
Yeah,
Is it
sim
out now?
games.
Oh.
Sim games actually. I'm just even thinking of all the other types of sim games, like top-down sim games. I mean, even literally The Sims could be fun in the Vision Pro.
Yeah, this Little Cities is going to arrive on December 5th. So we've got a little bit of time to wait. And Apple is doing, it seems like Apple Arcade is doing a lot of game expansion that, even outside of the Apple Vision Pro environment, they keep dropping new games. And the author goes on to say, yeah, but there's no Batman Arkham Shadow yet. And then they go on to say, yeah, but you need to check out Synth Riders. It's pretty cool. So they divert from what the article is about to talk about what they
before the end.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes out, take a peek.
Yeah. Another article coming from 9 to 5 Mac. Apple Vision Pro proves best home theater as 2024 top grossing films arrive in 3D. I have, they're talking about Disney Plus, and I purchased Deadpool and Wolverine, and it did not come in 3D. But I guess in Disney Plus, the last time I checked, it hasn't had a 3D option in my Vision Pro. But in Disney Plus, they have a 3D option. So if you watch it in Disney Plus through that service, so maybe, I don't know, does it mean I someday will have to buy another 3D version of the thing, or will it just transfer over at some point to Apple? The Apple Store.
They may just have to wait for a while. I'm sure Disney will get it first.
They'll milk it for what they can do, yeah.
So there was a short blurb in Reddit about what to capture in spatial video that was interesting. And they were doing a recording of a 2-hour-long interview with a 96-year-old grandmother. And they had purchased one of those card games with questions. You pull out the stack and then you ask a question and you get a response. And then they recorded the whole thing in spatial video. I think the idea is that, she won't be around long enough for the young grandkids to actually remember the conversation. So this is a way of kind of having that whole group of family members and the questions and interactions and be able to hear the voice and get information as well. That sounded kind of interesting. And
I'm sure the old lady really liked the fact that they were filming her because they all think she's going to be dead soon.
They're all spending time chatting and, brought in questions.
Did they put the headset on the old lady, or somebody else was wearing a headset?
Or they might have even been with an iPhone.
Yeah.
I don't think it was clear.
Well,
I like the idea. It was neat.
This is a 9 to 5 Mac article, and it's nice to see them come back to this is a Vision Pro proves to be the best home theater of 2024. Another article that I want to say love the Macalope. Whoever you are, Macalope. It's if you're not familiar with the Macalope, you should be. It appears in Macworld. It's a column, but it's meant tongue in cheek, and it takes pot shots at a lot of people who have issues with Apple stuff. Now, Macalope's not necessarily an Apple apologist, but this article I thought was pretty good, titled "Apple is Doomed Because No One Wants to Wait for Anything. Patience is a Virtual Reality," is the subtitle of the article. And I'm proud to say, the conversation we had last week about or maybe it was 2 weeks, where it was all these doomsayers talking about how they're going to just stop producing it and it's horrible and the sales are bad. And then you get companies like Vimeo, and you get you get products like Final Cut Pro supporting spatial video. There's a lot of evidence that this isn't going away. Apple's playing the long game. But I love the Macalope taking shots at some of the articles that we talked about that we had problems with. It makes me feel a little closer to the old Macalope, and that my judgment is not impaired. I love this. We're thinking about it. Oh, Apple is seriously considering a vision device that offloads compute to your phone. We're thinking about it. We're also thinking about a steampunk version that runs on a coal-fired backpack. We've got all sorts of wacky ideas. Don't touch me. It's a fun article if you if you have an interest in the Apple Vision Pro. Now, sometimes Macalope's articles escape me because I'm not that deep into certain things, but most of them they provide links to the articles, and they provide links to the quotes that people had made, the articles where they had the quotes. So if you don't understand all the context, you can always get around the article. But it's always fun to read that curmudgeon-y, I don't want to say old, that curmudgeon-y Macalope and their take on things. Oh, life hacker.
Brings back lots of memories of old articles.
I'm looking at the past articles right now, too, just to get a feel, because I'm not familiar with it. And the other most recent one is How Apple Learned to Stop Worrying and Laugh at the Microsoft Zune.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a link that's stuck. Well, maybe I can get back to it. It's a Life Hacker. Oh yeah, okay. So Life Hacker. I liked Life Hacker. Apple Vision Pro is one of the worst headsets for gaming. Okay.
It's true. Yep, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. No one ever said it was going to be.
So it's armed with beautiful screens and easy to navigate interface and an M2 chip. The Vision Pro definitely has the hardware to support more experiences than it does. But Apple has never, as a whole company, has never really strongly gotten behind high-end gaming.
They haven't historically. Also, I think a lot of people don't realize how much work it takes to actually develop software. I mean, especially for a platform that's not even a year old. Going back to the being impatient part of things. And actually, with the recent Macs that have come out, one thing I thought was really interesting is they're really touting how well it's going to run on the Mac port of Cyberpunk 2077, a notoriously kind of hard game to run in recent time. And that seems like a minor detail. That's also kind of specifically called out. Like, I don't know if they would have done that without any other push. And it makes me wonder if we will actually start to see more of a leaning towards hardcore gaming, especially since a lot of gaming in general is slowly shifting away from being so bound to x86 architectures.
Will an M5 chip help any of that?
I mean, yeah. But at the same time, there are people playing Cyberpunk 2077 on an M1 MacBook Air with 2 layers of emulation, and they're making it run, and it barely runs. It's 30 frames a second, but still. So, I mean, it ain't gonna hurt, but we can do a lot with what we already got. It's just where's the incentive? Because it is a business. the end of the day. That's the part I think most people forget, is all of this is a business.
Well, speaking of the business, and I think Eric can speak to this too, hands-on with Apple's new Final Cut Pro 11 update. And Final Cut Pro has spatial editing, spatial video editing. This comes from Mac Rumors. I think I have a couple articles in here there's also one in there from Macworld talking about Final Cut Pro. Eric, why don't you fill us in on a little bit of that?
I am by no means a Final Cut Pro expert. It has been a significant amount of time since I did any editing. However, I did update. It does work. I was able to bring in a bunch of spatial videos, splice them together, export the video, and upload it to Vimeo, and send you a link, and it was there. Now, I will say there's kind of some choppy components that were in there, but I recorded the spatial video on several different devices over the last 6-7 months, and not moving much when you're recording spatial video is really helpful. And I think I was talking to somebody and then recording while I was turning around, and I grabbed that clip. So the examples I have out there are not necessarily do it this way, but more you can kind of see some things that work, some things that don't work. As I'm now finally able to kind of cut clips together, I've noticed it makes a lot of difference how close you are to the subject when you're doing the filming. And if you film something where you're really close to the subject, when you look at the frame, they kind of fall out of the frame. If you get a little bit further back, or if you move the frame further away from you or closer to you, depending on how you originally filmed it, the object sticks out of the window or is, recessed inside of it. I'm sure there's some neat effects you can do with that. And I haven't had time to work with them yet, but I'm looking forward to testing now that I can kind of mush stuff together and you can add some text, and all in all, an excellent release. And that doesn't even get to the app being able to add some subtitling and to, fix some quality issues, color issues, that kind of thing.
The tracking, the masking, those seem really cool too. I haven't had to do any video editing in forever. And I saw that, and I'm like, whoa, because I know that's a pretty laborious process.
Yes.
I don't know if what else is out there on the market has anything like that. I'm sure some of it out there somewhere does, but I'm certain it's also not free.
The other piece, I've got like 4 or 5 articles that'll be in the show notes. Want to remind folks that they can find all of this in the show notes. But 4 or 5 articles that talk about Apple Vision Pro and the Final Cut Pro 11. A couple of them talk about AI-powered features. So the idea that they're moving AI into the process, that they can start to use AI for a variety of things. Daniel was talking about it: magnetic mask, transcribe to captions, and also spatial video editing. So all of this is part of the AI-infused Apple Vision Pro arrangements with Final Cut Pro.
So one other thing I haven't had a chance to try yet, but I'm looking forward to. So when you're looking at a 2D image in the Apple Vision Pro, you can spatialize it. So I kind of want to try doing a couple of clips of just regular still images, followed by one where you end up with the depth, but put it in a spatial video movie, so I can kind of go from one into the other, or maybe a regular video clip going into a still image that's been transformed with depth, followed by a spatial video, just for an effect.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of video. Most of my video is just kind of still interview stuff, and there's not a lot of art behind it. But I'm curious. I do have a license for Final Cut, and it's a gradable license. It was an educational license that I got that I can use, and it continues to upgrade. I hadn't gotten into it. I'm really much more of an Adobe Premiere person because that feels a little bit more intuitive. And I had worked with Adobe Auditions for years in terms of podcasts. So that interface is a little bit more comfortable. The nomenclature used for Final Cut just escapes me, why they choose the names they choose for the things that they do. But I've also been a convert to DaVinci Resolve, which we have an article in that DaVinci Resolve 19.1 has spatial video editing. So there's another person in the market getting into the process.
Maybe if you get a chance, you can do some editing in that, and we can do some comparisons.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that wipes us through the news. A reminder that you can follow the stream at youtube.com/@visionprofiles on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or catch the video later on YouTube or audio on any of your podcasts catch series. We've been through all of the news and all of the rumors. Why don't we get into the apps? Seasons, immersive weather. See the weather inside, snowflakes or windblown leaves. Eric, was that your?
Yes. So I was looking at it. It was like, well, do I really need yet another weather app? And it was actually kind of cool. You put it up and it was cloudy. So you get clouds that are like in the room with you. And then it started to rain, and then I got rain, and they give you some demo weather, so you get to experience snow, and you get the snowflakes falling down. It doesn't accumulate, so you don't have to clean anything up, but you get the nice powdery snow coming down, and you get the wind, and the way they do the wind is they send a bunch of maple leaves blowing across the room, and there are leaves everywhere. Again, they don't accumulate, so it's just was a fun effect.
Yeah, I downloaded it because it was one of the new apps, I wanted to see what it was about. And I don't think I've even started my 3-day trial because I got into it and it's like $24.99 for an annual subscription.
Yep.
To the app. If I want it lifetime, it's $49.99, $50 for a weather app. And I don't even know to what extent I'm going to use it. I guess I could pay the monthly $4 and decide after a month, am I using this or not using this, to make a decision as to whether I want to. Oh, you can pay seasonally too. So you can pay $9 a season, 4 seasons, or $36 a year. There are so many pricing options on this, and all of them are just a little too expensive for me for a weather app. It's not like it's sitting on my desktop and I'm staring at it for 8 hours a day. It's the 2 hours that I'm in Vision Pro where I really don't give a damn what the weather is like outside. But it's a cool effect, and so it might be worth a month of cool effects.
If you're sitting there working on something, it's kind of neat to all of a sudden have snowflakes falling all over your work.
All right. One man's ceiling's another man's floor, if you think that's kind of neat.
I was going to ask, what would get you to not question the price and just buy it? Is there something else you could think of?
It's a weather app, Daniel. It's what else is it supposed to do but tell me the weather?
I'm trying to be creative here.
Yeah.
The weather is neat. You get to try the snow. You get to try the wind. If you want to try all of the other kinds of weather, you have to pay. So, and do you pay for a month and quickly try all the different kinds of weather, or do you, go for the whole thing? I don't know. They let you at least try to weather things right from the start. That is for sure worth it.
This is usually buying things is a slam dunk for me. So the fact that we have to spend this amount of time talking about a purchase, it really has me questioning whether or not I need to do this. Anyway, check it out. I'd encourage listeners or viewers to check it out. as an app. Seasons, immersive weather. And then spatial audio soundscapes. You want to talk about that one?
Sort of interesting. I kind of have looked at this a couple of times, and basically you download the app, and then they give you one sound to play with, and you get the sound, you get this kind of object. And when you bring the object, close to you, it has a sound. And you can put it behind you or on the left side or on the right side, and it just parks itself there with some sound. And if you pay your subscription, you can get more objects with more sounds. And then you can put all sorts of different sounds and basically lay out a room with a bunch of sounds, which if I was always in the same room all the time, I could almost see that. I mean, I've had times where I've had like a little mini waterfall on my desk, or like some wind chimes or something, just enough to give sounds in different parts of the room. And I could see, just having a couple different sounds arrayed around me. It'd be more like working on a front porch with wind chimes and birds and whatever. Just have a couple different sounds. It was a neat concept. You get one sound, you can play with it. I think you probably need more sounds to really experience it, but I haven't made a decision yet.
Yeah, annual subscription, $19.99. So it's cheaper than finding out what the weather is. But it looks, I mean, I like some of that spatial sound stuff, even on my desktop computer. Daniel, do you do any of that?
Not for $99. I wouldn't. I like the idea, though, the scene that Eric was painting, because I was just thinking about like the other, like it's starting to get kind of cool. I would actually go sit outside and work in the Vision Pro and maybe not want to hear just the sound of 275, the highway, down the way, and some little things like that would be fun. What would make it better though, what the sucky part is, like, oh, now you're done for the day, and then you get back and sit down, you got to set everything up again because it didn't all really like permanently anchor itself. So, I mean, that'll be resolved at some point in the future, but it's a neat idea. Just
what would get me to spend the $99? If I was willing to fill up the tub with water and willing to wear a Vision Pro in a tub with hot water and steam. If I was willing to take that chance, then the app and having a bunch of sounds while I'm sitting there in a virtual book that wouldn't get wet, that I could turn pages on, I could go with that.
Would you have virtual candles in the bathtub too?
Maybe, or a little virtual fireplace. You can put that off on the side.
Oh, yeah.
There's not enough alcohol that can erase that image from my brain.
I think I need to make that photo now as a meme.
Yeah, use the playgrounds and see if you can get a picture of Eric in a bathtub.
Lots of bubbly soap. Lots of soap.
Don't worry, it's virtual soap, virtual bubbles.
And finally, there's a couple of, we talked about Vimeo and the importance of spatial apps. So look at that app. I have it on my headset now. And then also look at the desktop version in terms of as an interface for you, storing your videos, streaming your videos and such.
And I left a couple of links. Take a look and see if you want to include them or not. One with the Mac Virtual Display. It's a link to a virtual display window with Final Cut. And if you open it up and look at it and then go and zoom in, you can zoom all the way down to a frame of video in the timeline.
Yeah.
So it's nicely detailed, meaning that if you've got your ultra wide display with a timeline and you're editing, you can actually see all of the elements.
Yeah, so I'll include both of these. One is a Mastodon post with a link that then plays which then plays in Vimeo.
Sample video. You need to have Vimeo because you want to open it into Vimeo to get the depth.
Do you need to do that in your headset or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because otherwise you don't get the spatial video. You can watch it otherwhere, but then it's just 2D.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to get that into someone's headset.
Well, if you do the link and you click on the link, It will click, and then if you have, the Vimeo app, it will load it. There's the post has a click button that launches Vimeo with the video.
Yeah. And
really,
then
I'm just trying to figure out, how do you share this stuff?
Yeah.
I think
And
this will work.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Mac Video Virtual Display is this.
Yep.
Oh, so that's the one that has the Final Cut.
That's the Final Cut.
That you can zoom in and see the kind of frame level that you were able to get with it. So, well, that wraps up a lot of what we're going to do tonight. Daniel, you've been struggling with internet connection in and out, or?
No idea what's going on.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you here, and good to be part of it. I'm glad you're a part of this in the process. And we'll probably see you in the next couple of weeks. Next week, we're going to try and do this show, streaming it to YouTube, but also streaming it through Ecamm. So we might be able to share some of the articles directly in the video stream of the articles that we're talking about. So I've been playing around with that arrangement. We've also got a new thing, and just today we cut another show with Chuck Joyner of Mac Voices. Eric and I this afternoon spoke with him about the top, can we say it this way, the top 10 things that someone new to Apple Vision Pro should do first. And we talked about apps, we talked about setup, we talked about environments. So that is it's going to be a video on the Mac Voices channel called a Vision Pro Focus. And we will take the audio from that when Chuck sends it to us, and we'll put it out as a podcast. We won't include it on our YouTube channel, but we'll put it on as an audio podcast. So consider it sort of an extra episode in our podcast series. And it's Vision Pro Focus, and it's a conversation show that we do with Chuck every 6 weeks or so, as part of the Mac Voices and Apple Vision Profiles arrangements together. It's great. Chuck's got a lot of good shows, so look at macvoices.com, and we're glad to be able to do this Vision Pro Focus with them. Thank you for tuning in. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have ideas or want to join in an episode, email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com. You can find more about our show at thepodtalk.net. We've got a link for the show there. The bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.